And with this, over to you, Claus.
Thank you very much, Larissa. Can you just confirm you hear me well?
Yes.
Good, excellent. Thank you very much. So welcome everybody. My name is Claus Helth. I'm talking to you today from sunny Copenhagen. I hope everything is fine on your end as well. We appreciate you spending the time with us to listen in on this, what we think and hope will be an interesting session on license consumption data in SAP for me. With me is my colleague Joanna. We are both from the Global Adoption and Experience COE, where we work with generating data and insights on solution usage and providing it back to colleagues and customers. We obviously think this is a super important topic, and we think it's a great example of combining the forces of various efforts. Here in this case, the adoption data and insights from us, obviously with the SAP for me platform as a super strong tool, and being presented to you here together with Larissa's team and the efforts of the user groups. So all in all, a good example of collaboration and hopefully getting something valuable out of that. Just a few words very, very briefly on the platform SAP for me. I trust you're all familiar with that, as it is the main tool for customers to obtain information and interact with SAP in managing the solutions, bringing together obviously many systems from the past into almost a one-stop shop now, where you can manage virtually everything related to your solutions, and also the use and the adoption journey. There are so many aspects of this, so many valuable features. I really encourage you to check it out, everything that has been made available in this Knowledge for You framework and available out there on the sites. But today, of course, we will focus on the consumption data, the usage and consumption data. I see that there is a raised hand. I hope somebody is looking into that, and please let me know if I need to do something different. But meanwhile, I will proceed. So SAP for me as a platform for the delivery, and again, very briefly on the Global Adoption and Experience COE that I represent. As I said, we are specializing in generating data on usage. We are born out of the good old Global License Audit and Compliance team. So we have a lot of experience in generating the data and providing that data back out into the ecosystem. And our goal is to do that also to you as customers, to provide you with data and insights to manage your solutions and your journey, both with the foundational data that you can consume and the data in various streams, license consumption, which we are focusing on today, functional use, and product experience as our three main channels of data. And for each of these, there will be sessions in this Knowledge for You framework that I really encourage you to check out. We provide these data streams into various relevant tools and reports in the SAP framework. And we do that with the ambition to provide insights and input to intelligent actions to support your adoption of the solutions so that you can maximize your return on investment really at the end of the day. Just to spend a few more words on those different data streams and what characterizes them and where we see them fit in to your journeys. Obviously, it all starts with the contract and what is being acquired. And there's also information on contracts in SAP for me. We'll see a short glimpse of that shortly. But with the consumption data, we really try to answer the questions such as, okay, what have we acquired? What rights do we have? What have we acquired to use? And how much have we consumed of that so that we know where we are in terms of our investment and our standings in that? We couple that with the more functional perspective. Okay, that is fine and well. We've acquired this. How much are we actually using? What features are people picking up and deploying in their daily work in our organization? and that can be both on an active user basis, it can be capability basis or features. All of this is available to some extent across our vast platform. As you can imagine, as you well know, there are many solutions, and they all are specific in their setup and in their use. So there are some challenges, as you can imagine, of providing truly harmonized experience across all of them, but that is our ambition to reach that point. And as a third pillar, the product experience. Okay, now we've covered the sort of the quantitative aspects. How much have we acquired? How many features are we using? But what about the quality? How are people satisfied with those solutions? And how are they expressing this in surveys and feeding that? And we are now working hard to provide as much as we can of that back to you as organizations. And how do your users actually experience the solutions? What are they happy about? What do they think could be done better in the rollout and deployment within your space? So that is a little bit about what data we're generating and want to feed back, and what we are basing also our services and our offerings on. And for the purpose of this session here, of course, the main tool and the main vehicle to consume that and to see that and work with all that data and insights is SAP for me, the tool. Again, I trust you are familiar, but just to stress that, you go to the SAP for me platform and you find the data there. Now, this whole session here today, the presentation, we're doing that based on slides and providing information this way to be able to control it and for technical reasons. And we'll get back to that as well. So I'm not going to do a live demo, but I do just want to click through to the site just to make sure you see and recognize the landing page and the GUI. So just in case you're not familiar with SAP for me, this is where you first go and you log in. So if you don't have this already, make sure to take the URL and go there and bookmark it. But going back to the presentation, you go to SAP for me. We'll dive into the specifics in a minute. You make sure you have the right authorizations within your organization to see what you need to see to do your job. And that is being controlled by your super admin in your company who can see what. So to see the consumption cards that we will look at in a minute, there are some specific authorization rights that needs to be assigned to your particular account. And if you're not sure who is your super admin, you can also find that on SAP for me, of course. So with all that background and foundational, let's then look at, okay, what is it really all about? And we'll go through the three main deployment models that we have: public cloud, private cloud, and very briefly on-prem. But starting here with public cloud. And as I said before, we think this is very important, and we encourage everybody to have a good governance process in place to monitor this, to avoid surprises or unfortunate situations or exposure. So we really encourage everybody to utilize the information that is being provided out there, really to understand what entitlements do you have to use, how much has actually been consumed, what is the status at this point in time, and be understanding in that process that when we talk about license consumption, we are really talking about those metrics, the solution metrics that come from the SAP price list and that have been reflected into your agreements, your contracts, whereas functional use is a little bit different and it's covered in a separate session in this framework here. And this is relevant for you as customers and consumers of the SAP solutions, of course, to do cost control or cost allocation as relevant for you to ensure that you are on top of your entitlement situation and avoiding any exposure to certain situations. And of course, for future planning and budgeting to perform reviews within your organization, et cetera, et cetera. That's where all of this data and these insights can be of value to you, we like to believe. So when you go into SAP, for me, and hopefully you have been there, hopefully you recognize the general layout, the menu structure on the left here with the main sections. What we're talking about today is all in the finance and legal space. Everything to do with the money is in this space. And you will find, as a natural starting point for many of you, the contract situation that is covered. It's not the main focus today, but just to touch on it briefly. You do have contract information in SAP for me in this finance and legal space within the different deployment areas. You can see here which contracts and order forms you have entered into with SAP and which solutions you have acquired. You are able to drill down in various ways to see what is really the content on a material level of these contracts. So this is on a detail level. You can go into a system level and see also, okay, which tenants in solutions have these SAP solutions then been installed on to get that perspective. But now for the actual consumption and what data and what insights are we providing on the consumption itself. That is then not surprisingly, in the consumption tab on this dashboard that we just saw here in the finance and legal space, where we are providing various levels of information. The high level is supposed to give you an at-a-glance status view of what you have and what you need to inform you about the status and to call attention to anything that needs to be addressed. It is based on a list of the metrics that you have acquired that are being measured, and with the information then fed into SAP for me, with the key information points about how much have you acquired, which license rights have you acquired, to which extent can you use a solution, and then what has been measured, what has really been consumed on this particular metric, and the delta resulting from that. And this is then again displayed in a graphical format here for a visualization and a quick intuitive understanding of what range is used in. Is it something that is fine? Is it something that requires my attention, either because the consumption level is very low and I need to understand if there are any blocks for the consumption, or is it high and I therefore need to understand what is that situation and why is that and what do I need to do about it? So that is sort of the high level at a glance view that we are providing here for all the solutions that you may have acquired. Where it becomes interesting and what we want to make sure you're aware of is all the additional information and insights that's available sort of under the service, so to speak. And everybody have different needs depending on the roles that you fill in your organizations and the jobs to be done for you. So that's why we are keeping it high level and intuitive on the landing page here, but going through now all the additional information that is available depending on your needs, of course. As you've already maybe noticed through the expansion here, we are showing the metrics. That is the logic that is being used for the list, but you can expand to see what particular solutions, materials, SAP materials are these related to. Spend as a metric here, what solutions is that relevant for to follow and monitor? And if spend as a concept, as a metric, if you have questions on what is really the definition of that, how is that being measured, where is that being picked up from, what can I do to ensure good hygiene about these data points? There's a link here out to SAP support page where you will find the customer information sheets that will give you details about how it is measured, what is included, what is not included in the actual measurement. And for many solutions also a guide to how you can do self-measurement inside the solution itself for validation. Now, one of my favorite features is for each metric that we're showing in a visual way, the consumption, the use over time, which gives you a very good, again, intuitive, we hope, understanding of how has my use developed over time. number one. But as importantly, if consumption has changed in a given month, you will be able to identify when did that happen, and very often that would allow you to understand how does that fit with my rollout schedule or my business activities, and especially if the measurement results are a little bit surprising. This can help you to understand why is that. So recommend to study that, and you have even some customization options here in terms of which period you want to see. The actual data points on entitlement and use, there for the most part are also drill down options. For the subscription level, the entitlement level, you are able to drill down into that and see which order forms does this come from, to really understand what is that level and which order does it consider everything, what is not, what is making up this number of entitlement. And equally interesting is that for unfortunately not for all products, but for all the products with metrics that can be specified on a tenant level, we are providing that information as a drill down click through option as well. So if you see that the measurement data point is a link in blue, you are able to drill down and see the per tenant information, which can also help explain to you where is this consumption number coming from, which business division or subsidiary is generating the activity level, leading to the net result. As mentioned, just to set expectations, this is not possible for all metrics for various reasons, notably that some of these metrics are simply not definable or containable within a tenant, but where it is available, you can recognize it by the link status, the blue link status. Also important feature is on the far right here with the small clock. This is where you'll be able to see the timestamp of when was this data captured, if there's any doubt about recent developments or changes done, and whether they are captured in what you're seeing here or not. One of the most frequent questions we've received in the past is, can we please be able to take this data out of the SAP for me platform? As good as that tool is, and as much work has been put into that to make it easy to work with, we recognize that sometimes you do need to be able to use the data in a different environment to suit your purposes and business needs, and therefore it's good that we are now able to provide that capability actually to export the data on the subscription levels, entitlement levels, and also the consumption from this card into Excel format for you to work with. Also here in this little section, the 3-dot section, is where you can find different ways to get help if you have doubts on what do the different sections on this page mean, or if you have concerns about the data points that are shown there. You will find a lot of general information about the layout and the fields of the page, and you will also find a link to get further assistance, help, articles, and ultimately to be able to raise tickets if you think there's an actual error in the data that is being displayed. I really do encourage you to do all the validation and sanity checking that you can using these different drill down features and all the information provided. But of course, sometimes it can be necessary to reach out and get help, which is then available. Now, as I said, we chose this format for the presentation for a reason, and if you have to remember only one slide and print one and laminate it, I would recommend that this is the page. Do that and keep it under your keyboard or in a drawer at your desk, because this can help guide you in your use of the solution and get to those data points, and also recognizing that this is perhaps not something that you guys need to deep dive into every week. if after 3 months, 6 months, you need to revisit and find and understand, okay, where did I find the tenant level information? This can be a help. So moving a little bit from the high level generic, some of our solutions, and again, we have wonderfully many solutions in SAP, as you well know, in for S/4HANA, public cloud and private for that matter. As you probably are aware, we have for users the concept of full user equivalence, or FUEs. And that is, of course, also being displayed as a data point in the measurements in the page. And here it can, of course, be interesting to understand, okay, that net commercial construct of FUEs, how did we come to that number? What are the actual user volumes in the system making up that FUE number? And of course, there's a click-through opportunity here to see that how many advanced core self-service users are behind the FUE number. And also for that, there's a possibility to get that on a tenant level via the, if you go to the 3-dot section up here, and you can actually drill down that way. So that is it for public cloud in a nutshell, so to speak, or in a very big nutshell perhaps, but nevertheless in a summary format. Private cloud in many ways work the same, but there are some subtle differences. Public cloud is true software as a service, and therefore we have delivered in a most often in a one-to-many way, and with ability to automate most processes, and therefore we are also able to automate the metering and the data display. I mentioned the timestamp earlier, and for public cloud, you can expect daily refreshes of the data. But private cloud is a little bit different, as you probably are aware, because there it is possible to do some modifications on a customer by customer basis, on a system by system basis to allow for your specific operations, which means that there are slight differences between each customer, for better and for worse. But it ultimately means that the automated processes, again, that we are able to do on public, we are simply not able to do on private. So the net result of this is that the measurement process for private is based on a monthly process triggered by SAP, where we reach out to these private cloud solutions and gather the data using some of the well-known license management tools in the system to generate and consolidate the measurement results. Everything is anonymized before it's transferred for further processing, but some validation is then needed, again coming out of the structure of the systems, and then it's ultimately displayed in SAP for me. So it's cloud solutions, there is metering done, and there's consumption information available in SAP for me. So many similarities to public cloud, but technically the reality is just a little bit different, meaning it works slightly different and again, provided on a monthly basis rather than a daily basis. There's some additional detail here that I will not dive very deep into, of more on why this is so. And this is meant as a way to set expectations, but also as a guide to you as customers and organizations, that if we want to reach together the common goal of having transparency on data and governance tools available, so the data availability that we just saw for public cloud, if we want to reach that also for private, we need to collaborate a little bit to make sure that technically the metering is possible, respecting, of course, all the other decisions and priorities that go into to the architecture and the setup of a private cloud solution. And I encourage you to either yourselves or your colleagues working with the basis work to check out all the information available out there on how to do good admin work and hygiene on the setup to enable metering so that you can see that yourselves. But once all that is done, once the data reaches SAP for me, it shows up in a very similar way to public cloud. Again, and this is on the same page as we actually looked at before. Finance and legal, menu point, the tab called consumption. There's then a card for public cloud, there's a card for private cloud, and here you will find again the list of the metrics with the subscription entitlement level, the consumption metered level, any delta, and the graphical illustration of what that looks like for you to act upon. And you will see also on that card some information, very direct information about this technical situation that I just described, and what you need to be aware of when you're working with this data. You have many options here also to drill down, similar to public, but for technical reasons, organized in a little bit different way. You can select different time periods to view this monthly data. You're of course able to see the FUE drill down into users, which is super relevant and important to manage. And you are able to drill down to get a detailed view per installation of this also. Right. So very briefly, the last deployment model on-premise, the whole platform and the approach is quite cloud focused, as you will have picked up. Of course, many of you have on-premise solutions as well that need to be managed. And as you well understand, the whole on-premise setup is very different from cloud, making the measurement process also very different. So therefore, we can simply not offer the same level of transparency and data provisioning as we can for cloud. But we are working to make as much as possible available to you out there. So again, SAP for me will be a convenient one-stop shop for you to manage all of your environments and give you as the best of the SAP web-based platform experience also for on-prem. So certainly the entitlements, they are displayed for on-premise, also in the finance and legal tab on the on-premise card. This is what is coming out of the contract. But when we talk about consumption, as you can imagine, this is impossible to meter in an automated way and provide on a regular scheduled basis, because it requires collaboration on the data generation and submission from your systems on-premise to SAP. We have different options available to do this, however, notably the self-measurement space. So you are actually able to upload the USMM files and all those measurement files to your own corner of SAP for me within your contained environment of your organization, and do comparison of your solution usage to your entitlements here, and also the audit measurement service that we are all familiar with for on-premise. The results will ultimately be displayed also in SAP for me. This is being provided already now for the indirect customers working with partners, which has been a priority to enable all the different parties in that setup and relationship to see that. And the goal is for that to be delivered more broadly. But I trust you can imagine that the whole data generation process is a little bit different here. And again, one of the virtues of the cloud is the data is more readily available and can be shared to enable this transparency. That was it for the main walkthrough. There's so much information available, so many features, so many levels of data, so much insight to be gathered. So we really want to make sure you're also aware of where to find more information. There's a host of information available on the general SAP for me platform. Some links included here. And I know that Larissa is also organizing a range of other sessions on SAP for me, both as a tool and the other functional areas of the tool to manage other aspects of your work with SAP solutions. So please check that out. Specifically for consumption, there's also more information available directly on the consumption page itself at the end there, the license utilization information, which will guide you forward. And I especially want to call attention to a very good recorded session that Joanna, my colleague, has done and provided of a more live demo of the tool, which works very well together with this more slide-based walkthrough. So in Joanna's video, you can really see where to click and how the menus unfold and so on to get that perspective also. So I encourage you to check that out. Private cloud, as you will understand, there are some specifics around that, and there's more detail available out there. As mentioned in the beginning, this session here has focused on license consumption, the commercial aspect, but we also provide data and insights on functional use and product experience, and there are sessions coming up of that in the coming Tuesdays in this same channel here, and I really encourage you to check those out as well, as we believe those are also important aspects to support your rollout and adoption of SAP solutions and making the most of them. Functional use information and product experience information can help you with that journey as well. And finally, when you've been through all this information and your questions are still not answered, or you're concerned that there is an issue or something is not working, there is help to be achieved or to get via these get assistance links here in the tool and provided here as well. Finally, we really value and live on the input from you on what is valuable for you, what works well, and what would you like to see change and have added. So please use the opportunities that are there to provide your input to us and your feedback. And this here, the SAP Influence channel here is a very good way to do that, simply using this QR code to go in and deliver that input. We would really appreciate that. Just to leave that open for 10 seconds to digest. There was a thumbs up. We'll say that is good. Those were the words. Those were the slides for today. It seems there's been a little bit of activity in the background, but I have not been able to check myself the questions. Joanna, is everything answered along the way? Is anything we should share with the group?
Yeah, I'm actually very busy answering the questions.
I can imagine. Thank you.
There are a lot of questions coming in. So I don't know, should I maybe briefly summarize the questions, or we would like to give a chance to our audience to ask the questions first before I jump into the, I don't know, Larissa, what should we?
I suggest, so there are a couple of questions that were already answered in Q&A part, and there are a couple of questions still open and also in the chat. But let's start with Joanna to give us a short, brief summary of the question that were already addressed, just an overview, which questions were in focus, and then we move to those that are not answered yet.
Yeah, sure, I can do that. So basically, let me put my camera on so you can also see me. Hello everyone. Yeah, so I was monitoring the Q&A chat while Claus was doing his a great presentation, and yeah, there were a lot of questions actually. Questions very much product specific sometimes as well, but also questions about like the mismatch, for example, between product name and contracts, and why this is always so different. Why, if I look into the contract view, I see completely different list of products or name of products than versus where I look into the consumption view, right? On the metric side, on the consumption side. So yeah, so this is basically related to the fact that, as you know, it always depends on the product you buy, and in the end on the way how the product is being measured. And it could be that then this one product could result in several metrics we measured in the end due to the product the way the product has been built, versus it could be also that you have maybe one metric that as well results in several products. So it always depends on the product and how it was built. That's why sometimes the names are not really like one-to-one and not really matching. But this is for that reason, we have developed this drop-down list that you get when you open the metric ID that Claus showed in the presentation for you here. So you can see that we have this list of the materials where you can check exactly this one, where you can check which products are actually mapped to that metric ID. You can click on that material number as well, that you will be navigated to the contract. And as well, you can also go into the link under the subscribed column, where you will as well get more details on the contracts where the product has been purchased, and as well from there you can navigate to the contract view. So we really tried our best to link all the information across SAP for me, so that it will be easier for you as well to navigate through that. Also, there were some questions about the BTP products and why we do not show everything under the consumption tab. So the consumption tab is mostly for the subscribe-based contracts. So if you have anything that is based on a balance statement, it will be shown in a different card, which you will see under the enterprise agreements tab in the finance legal dashboard. So because this is a completely different way of how the consumption is being measured and how it's being displayed. So that's why we also have this differences here, especially in the BTP product area. Yeah, other than
And
that,
that's probably,
yeah.
Joanna, that's probably a very good point, that what we're showing here today is the standardized setup for standard solutions, standard contract, standard process. And as soon as you have something that is non-standard, it can be more difficult to measure and to display correctly. So that is something to be aware of if you know you have non-standard solutions or business models or exceptions.
Yeah.
Have that in the back of your mind when you go look for the consumption.
Yeah, exactly. There was also a question on the license consumption part in the reporting in SAP for me, because I know you're probably also very much aware of the fact that we also have the same kind of a part in there. But this is more on focus on the reporting structure. Here you have a more like this consumption structure, and where you also have to do some action item as well in the end. So, for example, for the private cloud, as Claus showed, for the users and engines, and also later on for the self-declaration product. This is more when you have to do something in addition, whereas the reporting is really just a pure reporting based view, but it's based on the same data. So please don't worry that you will get a different data shown here, and there is still the same data. It's just a different way of showing. It's more like an analytical way in the reporting than to what we show under the consumption tab.
Yes.
And
I think it's really a question. We recognize that there are different roles out there in the organizations, whether you're IT focused or commercial focused or business process focused. There can be different ways to use SAP for me and this data to support your role best possibly.
yeah.
And reporting access is no worse or better than the finance and legal approach. Find out what works best for your role and go with that.
Yeah, exactly. And there were also questions like, for example, that not all of the products are listed that actually were licensed, especially for the public cloud, and what to do in that case. So we would highly encourage you, and if you see there are some differences to what you have licensed, or you're not really sure if the data that is being shown there is actually the right data, please always open a case via SAP for me, because we have a dedicated team here with us that is really looking in those cases as well. So if you've noticed anything wrong with your data, please always let us know, because based on your feedback as well, we can learn, and we can as well make sure that the data is accurate, is up to date, and that we don't have any issues with that. So if you face anything, just immediately open a case and we will have a look at individually in your case, and then get in touch with you. Other than that, that was just really just a very, very much basic questions that actually, Claus, you have covered in the session. So
Okay.
We have two more questions in Q&A tool
let me
and
check.
several questions in the chat. So maybe if you, Joanna, prefer to answer Q&A tool in writing, then maybe Claus can concentrate on chat.
I can also take over the ones from chat because in the Q&A, I think the one question I've answered already, which was on the license consumption in the reporting, and the other one on the new user type model for public cloud. I'm not exactly sure which one, Peter, you're referring to. If it's the business suite model, maybe, I don't know, that we're working on it to have it displayed. So obviously, yeah, we need to check. So maybe you could be a bit more specific on which one, because we have a lot of new models coming up, so it's always hard to follow. But yeah, but there was also one question I just saw in the chat. Because some of the questions, Larissa, actually were then copy paste into the Q&A, so I will not repeat. But there was another one. Just please
I
give me 1
think
second.
the one from the chat is how often is the snapshot gets refreshed on
Yes.
SAP
Yes.
for me.
Yes. So yeah. So basically, it depends on the product or on I would say on the cart. Let me put it this way. So if it's a public cloud, the data is being checked daily. So Claus also showed that in the presentation. You have this last consolidation date shown on for each and every metric ID on that card. So you can also verify the date or the timestamp where the data has been pulled from our backend systems into SAP for me. Exactly. So you can verify that here. For the private cloud, as also Claus mentioned, we provide the metering data on a monthly basis. So it means that every month with the new metering data, we would then update the entitlement. So let's say here you have the 1st of March 2025, that was the entitlement checked and put against the usage. The data has been published into SAP for me. And then let's say in the meantime, you have purchased new licenses. Obviously, this will not be reflected immediately on that card because you have to wait for the next metering run for the data to be reflected. And then only with the next metering run, the data will be checked. Again, the usage will be put against the license entitlement, and then the data will be published in SAP for me. So that's how it works for the private cloud. And for the on-premise, it's again a bit different because here we have a self-measurement, meaning you can upload the data, the usage data at any point in time. So you basically generate an XML file out of the USMM transaction of your systems, and then you consolidate it into an LAW file. For those that are familiar with that, obviously, I will not go too much into the details, but once you have this LAW file generated, you basically upload it into SAP for me for the on-premise self-measurement card, and immediately the data will be put against the entitlement we have also in the system, and then you will get the data immediately. So the self-measurement, as the name says for the self, can be done at any point in time. You don't have to really wait here for any measurements or any actions done on our end. So you can also decide it for yourself how often you want to check the data and do your so-called health check maybe for the on-premise part.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I guess the rule of thumb is really the more real time, the more automation is required, which again requires more standardization to do that, which again means the less standardized the solution is, the less real time the data can be, unfortunately, for technical reasons and setup reasons. So just to set expectation. And it is fair to say that it's a question we get regularly, especially for private cloud, Joanna, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Customers, and we really appreciate that, they see the data, they react to the data, and of course you're eager to see what does it mean then for the measurements. But it's important to set the expectations. The metering on private cloud is done on a monthly basis, so that's when the new results will be visible.
Yeah, exactly. And there was also a question, why is the reason why we actually measure private cloud on a monthly basis, not on a weekly basis? So yeah, so for now, the private cloud metering process as well, it's still, as you can also read from the disclaimer on that card, it's still in the process of collecting the data. So we have a data for the full use equivalent, but for example, for the engines data, we still collect the data and evaluate the data so that in the end we could provide you the right data. And that's why we've decided to display the usage on a monthly basis. But nevertheless, you can still run the FUE metering, for example, or check the FUE metering yourself on your systems. If you go to the private cloud metering page that is also linked on that slide, you will find a guideline on how to do it, on the report that you can also use in order to evaluate the FUE data. So if you can also do it on your own, whenever you want. But then it will be done individually by you on the system and not it's up for me. But yeah, but for now it's just a monthly metering we do.
And Joanna, is that available via the links we are providing here? So
yes.
on the private
So
cloud,
so
if you
the
click
private
through on
cloud
that,
metering.
yes.
There is also a video on the FUE metering to give you a bit more in depth to show how to do this kind of verification of the FUE usage. So please also watch the video as it is very, very much helpful for that part.
All right, there is one more question in the chat. Which systems are measured in the private cloud? Dev, quality, product, project, sandbox systems. Is there a way for customer to define the measurable systems and exclude some of them as possible in SLAW?
Yeah, so basically for the private cloud, we only meter productive and development systems that are hack up. And that's the only, I would say, solution type we do measure. So any other system is being excluded from the metering. There is no way to exclude those systems from the metering as soon as a system has been registered as private cloud, because it has to go through this registration process and has been declared either as productive or development and is live. It will be metered by us, so there is no way to exclude it. But yeah, there was obviously a way that we have in our SAP for Me platform, for example, to define such systems depending on the category of the system. So I know you're probably referring to the on-premise where you can actually exclude systems for the measurement and say this system is relevant, this one is not relevant. For private cloud, we do not have that, but what we have is we can you can set up a category or define a category for a system, meaning you can decide if a system is a pure core system, engines, mixed, or solution manager system, because based on that setup as well, we will as well consider a different rule set that we use for the automated classification we have. So if you know that you have a system that, for example, is initially set as core, but it's actually a mixed system, so you have an engine stack running on that system plus just a typical normal product, please make sure that you change the system category to mix, so that we also know which user classification or user types we can then use for the rule set and for the user classification. Or the other way around, if you know that your system is a pure engine system, there's only the engine stack running on it, you have no users there, everything is like automated, and there are basically just only technical users there running, make sure also that you change the settings from core to engine so that we do not apply the rule set and we do not classify any chargeable users on that system, because obviously, as you know, anything but with the engine stack, it's only requires only a technical user where it's not really relevant, with the exception of some engines, but most of them, they do not require any chargeable user. So that's my big ask to you as well, to always check that information. So for me, just make sure that the setup is done properly before we start the automated metering for you.
All right. There is one more general question, I guess. Is there a tool to run across the SAP which I can report to the CFO about the usage?
We don't have a specific tool. What you can actually do is you can, because obviously it depends on the usage type you have. You can, for example, on our tab, use the Excel download functionality. For public cloud, we provide 3 different types of downloads, which you can use. And then for private cloud is, yeah, exactly this one. For private cloud, we also are currently in a development phase of providing the same data export, so you can also use that in for on-premise as well. So there is a way of using the export button to generate a report, but you can also go into the reporting itself for the license consumption tab over there. They are for now only covering the public cloud section. So from there as well, I think you can create a report with some additional data and charts, etc. As I said, this is more like an analytical view, so that you can also use that if you need to.
Yeah.
All right. There is one more longer question in the chat. We've just upgraded to the SAP Asset Management app and implemented personas for asset management. This has locked each of their users to either 1,5 or 1 functional usage, I assume. Does this sit in addition to the FUE costs for role design authentication FUE costs?
I think it depends on the FUE and on the user, if I remember correctly. So I would also encourage here maybe to have a look in the I think here we're talking about the private cloud, not entirely sure, but I would encourage to have a look at the report that is shared on the private cloud page, where there was you can check the FUE usage and then see exactly how many FUEs you need. In terms of if it's required additional costs, I cannot answer. That will be probably something that need to be checked with the sales executive here. I don't know, Klaus, if you know answer to that, but I would
No,
first probably to double check with the
yeah.
user itself.
No, I get the I get the where the question is coming from, but it sounds like it's a little bit outside the scope of the general offering of SAP for me and the consumption data. So probably best to take it up with your account team or the colleagues who have been assisting with the asset management tool, and take the question up that way. But other than that, I can only say please use SAP for me as a general sanity check tool for the data as an additional entry point. But this case sounds like please take it up with the responsible colleagues that know your situation better.
All right, there is one more question in the chat, and then we switch to Q&A again. Is BTP also available to measure in SAP for me?
As I said, it always depends on the type of a product that is being sold, right? If it's a subscription-based contract, like subscription-based products, we will display it. It has a assigned metric ID to it, so it will be part of our consumption card. If it's based on the balance statement, please look under the Enterprise Agreements tab in SAP for me. Then over there you can find the usage. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly.
All right, then let's switch to Q&A part again. There is also the first one, how often occurs the measurement?
Yeah, I think it depends which what are you talking about? If we're talking about public cloud, the results are being published on a daily basis. So we get the data that is being measured on a daily basis and published up for me. Private cloud is once in a month, and on premise, if it's self-service, it's individually decided, so it can be at any point in time, whenever the customer wants to, publish the data in SAP for me. So yeah, I hope that answered the question.
All right, there is some clarification from Frank. My question was regarding consumption data for cloud solutions and moving them to SAP for me tool. I assume that this was already covered.
Yeah, or is it SAM tool? I think it's SAM tool. It's software asset management tool, probably some for you.
Okay.
Yeah. So as far as I know, for the public cloud data, it's not part of the SAM for you tool. I think over there we only cover the on-premise part. I don't know, Klaus, if you have more information here, but as far as I know, for now, it's just on-premise part covered.
Yeah, no, but
Actually.
yeah, I suspect also it was about the same for you. But this is an additional offering and service from SAP and valuable and important. But I think it's
Yeah.
a little bit outside of our scope for today. So I would really recommend, Frank, that we take this in a separate channel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably take it offline and connect directly.
Yes.
So
But
there
thanks for
one.
the question.
Yeah.
There's one more question. When does SAP do the monthly measurement on private cloud solutions? As of what date of the month is it available? Sorry if I missed that.
Yeah, so the measurement or the I call it metering actually is being done on a monthly basis, always at the beginning of each month. So I cannot say it's always done on the first of each month because obviously it depends if it's a weekend or if it's a work day. But yeah, we always start at the beginning of each month and we do our best to publish the results in the first few days of the month. Obviously, sometimes we have some delays based on some technical difficulties we might have. For example, if we have some systems that are very complicated or where we have to spend a little bit more time on the metering, it might take more time to publish the data. But yeah, we do our best to always publish them in the first days of each month, basically.
All right, thanks for that. Then a quiz question that actually is very long. We have a customer on private cloud who run both the automated monthly measurement for users, FUEs, and the star node-based measurement. There was a slight difference between the results. I understand that some variation can occur due to timing or technical factors like node version or profile updates. However, my understanding is that we should always recommend the automated monthly measurement as the primary source of truth. Can you confirm that's correct?
So basically, there could be some slight discrepancies between the star reports and meeting results. But then here, I also highly encourage to go into the SAP Private Cloud Metering page. We have recently published a new document, which is the FAQ document, where you will find all the answers to exactly that question. So there is a special document on those discrepancies between those two reports and also how to interpret the star report versus the metering results in SAP for me. So I highly recommend you to go there because the list is quite long. So I don't want to go through that, but yeah, I would encourage you to go and check it out.
No, absolutely.
Joanna?
And also bear in mind that the SAP for me data on private cloud, that is the automated or at least semi-automated process based on anonymized data and extraction and so on, but this is generally available and recurring, whereas both the software asset management and the star service are more ad hoc, in-depth, collaborative efforts. So they do take a little bit of different perspective. Of course, as you work through the processes, the data points should align.
Yeah.
But those tools are ad hoc and in depth, and therefore there can be slight variations that hopefully at the end will result in aligned data also in SAP for me. But it's just two different approaches. But we are very happy that you are utilizing the services and appreciate the effort that go into that.
Joanna, in case you have a link to this page, I can put it in the chat. So yes, this looks good. Thank you. And so we are almost a bit of overdue of our time. There is one more question that Joanna is answering now. Let me check. I think we have answered all questions in the chat, and let's see. We don't have any raised hands. I hope, yes, at least for a moment, I can't see any questions. neither in the chat nor in Q&A tool. And with this, we already bit over the time. Again, thanks, Claus. Thanks, Joanna, for being with us today with providing all these insights, answering all the questions. I think most of our audience appreciate this. You receive all these clapping hands and thumbs up. Thank you very much. Also, thank you very much to all the participants for being with us. And with this, as I've already mentioned, we will put the materials of this session on YouTube. It will take a bit time, but with this, thank you very much, and bye-bye, and have a nice day.
Yeah.
Thank
you very much,
Bye.
Larissa. Thank you for hosting. Please, everybody, stay tuned for the link to come from Larissa for the recording. We realize this is a lot of information, so please do revisit this once in a while to make sure you stay on top of how the solution work, and really hoping that it can provide you value in your daily work with adoption of the SAP solutions. Thank you for your time today. Goodbye, all.
Bye. Thanks.